Hello and welcome back to another movie review. As always, I'm Kelly, and I did not just get out of Dark Waters. Yeah, I saw this one a little while ago. It's taken me a bit to actually, record all of this. I apologize. It's been a bit of a rough week here in finals week of school. I have a few more reviews coming up. I figured I should do the last one that I saw and then work my way backwards and see how many of those I can get done. And my timeline is pretty much until I can get Jumanji out. Once I get off there, anything I saw before that, I'm just going to leave to the wayside and maybe talk about in the top 10 list at the end of the year. But none of that matters to this video right here, because let's talk about Dark Waters, which is always going to be haunted by that other legal thriller that Mark Ruffalo was in, isn't it? Yeah, it's become pretty apparent that it's impossible to talk about this movie without mentioning that other movie a couple of years ago. I'm going to make a very, very, very big effort not to bring up that movie as much as possible until probably the smallest section in the negatives. But that's about it. This movie should be judged on its own merits, and was this film good is the real question we should ask, in which the obvious answer is yes. Is its subject matter extremely important and something that people should really know more about and be talking about? Absolutely. Though I will say that I wasn't as impressed with some of the filmmaking as I have been in other legal thrillers like this, which is apparently a new subgenre. Well, I tell a lie. It's not really a new subgenre of film, but it feels like it's getting a lot more prominence, especially after that other film that we'll talk about later. But overall, I think this film is worth watching and that you should go out and see it pretty much immediately. You won't be disappointed. For those who want to stay for some more of the spoilers of what I think it did good and what it did bad, let's start talking about them. On the good side, the best thing in this movie, bar none, is the acting. The acting is 100% on point from everyone, especially Mark Ruffalo, who comes off as a little more emotionally distant than he usually plays, and it's a surprising how much feeling you actually get from the fact that he's not emoting that much. Anne Hathaway was also pretty good in the film, though I will admit that her role is a little bit more minor than her top billing kind of alludes to. Yes, she is this guy's wife, but let's just say she stays at home a little bit more often than she probably should in this movie. But even then, I can't say her acting was bad. She really did play this part and hammered it in home very well and gets a couple of really, really good, powerful scenes to herself. Honestly, I can't think of a single bad actor inside of all this. Even the bit parts, like when Bill Pullman shows up 2/3 through this movie, yeah, it's just, they're giving their A game. And it's a good thing they do, because honestly, I don't think this movie would work as well if not for the fact that the acting is as good as it is. Yes, the subject matter is very good and important, but I feel that the acting is what pushes that to the next level. And then we can actually go into the subject matter itself that the acting is pushing. And holy God, this is a very, very important real-world issue that we really should be talking about. This story follows a lawyer, Mark Ruffalo, who takes on a pretty low-end client because he knows his grandma and just starts pulling the thread of this mystery of what's poisoning this guy's farm and what DuPont is doing to pretty much everyone in the world, not just this little town. The movie does something really, really clever. While they keep telling you that DuPont is the one dumping some mysterious chemical, and they throw out all of these different acronyms and abbreviations for it, they never actually tell you what the common name of this product is until pretty much the truth bomb at the end of the first act. And when you hear what the chemical is, it's like, wait, that's everywhere. That's in everything. I use that still. It's like taking a sledgehammer to the face when you realize, oh crap, that's not something that is small. That's a big deal. And as I said, the acting and the directing are really pushing this subject matter and really ramping up that tension so that you really get on board with this thriller aspect of it right up until they smack you in the face with that name. The second they drop that product name, this movie goes from interesting to holy shit. Part of me wants to tell you what that chemical is right here and now, because frankly speaking, it is something that you should know about. But at the same time, I don't want to really ruin this movie's surprise by just blurting it out like that. So I'll compromise by saying that it's in a lot of pots and pans. And after that bomb really does hit, it really just keeps pushing it, and you just see the real fight just begin. Every time the lawyers and the farmer get a small victory, they're getting punched back by DuPont and thrown into the freaking gutter. Even when it looks like near the end of this movie that they've actually won, they really haven't. This case starts in 1989, which I had the hardest time figuring out because my fucking theater would not size this movie properly. I'm just going to say that right now. Megaplex, if you're going to put this in a smaller theater, you have to adjust the screen to the smaller theater. You cannot just cut off freaking probably as wide as I am on each side of the screen and expect things not to go over badly because the way the freaking font works inside of this. Every time I went to go see this in the movie theater, it just said something 9, something 0, something 1. It's like, I can't see the fucking date. Anyway, mini rant over. It starts in 1989, but they don't even really see any kind of settlement or clearance inside of this until 2015. Yeah, 2015. And even then, it's still happening. There's still lawsuits. There's still everything. It's insane. The movie really does show the insanity behind this. This company will not go silently into that dark night, when in fact they really, really need to go fuck themselves. And this film is just really good at making you really feel like you are a part of this case from start to it's not finished at the end. But with that said, I don't think this movie is perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and I don't think it's as good as the other film that it's often going to be compared to because they both star Mark Ruffalo. And we're going to have to talk about it because I'm just going to say it, Spotlight did this better. Now, again, I'm not going to go off the content in the film, what the movie's actually about, because these are two very different stories trying to get two very different points across and talking about two very different but equally important things we as a society need to deal with. I'm going to go into the filmmaking side of this, and I will say there is a lot of gray in this movie, whereas Spotlight was at least willing to show a lot more color. Every outside shot in this movie is so gray and washed out. You swear it was in the DC universe. And not the good, stylized DC universe. No, the really crap DC universe wannabes. The ones you see mostly on television. And that's another thing I can't help but feel. That this feels like it is a television series that's somehow snuck into a 2.5-hour movie. Which I'm fine with because it was good, but still, I can't help but feel that I should be watching this at home rather than inside of a theater where they can't even be bothered to fucking crop the damn movie properly. God, my entire opinion is completely shaded by the fact that Megaplex are fucking idiots. Also, one thing I feel that this movie probably shouldn't have done is it got a little preachy in cases. It really does try to set this up as a black and white situation. DuPont is wrong, everything that these lawyers are doing is right. It wasn't quite as black and white as it said. And I will say that I do agree with the lawyers on this one, but at the same time, they did pull some really dumb shit, especially at the beginning of this, by like ambushing the CEO in public and getting a reaction out of him. There's a point where you have to be professional, man. And the movie literally stops at one point just before they go to a very big lawsuit moment to give this big, rousing speech from the head of this lawyer's office. And while I do agree with pretty much everything that was said there, it really does feel like one of those movie moments that didn't really happen, especially the way it's framed. I mean, the two other partners who are constantly making remarks throughout all of this, you swear that they were on a sitcom just 10 minutes earlier. But as real life has shown us, especially watching the news these days, people do act like that, so maybe I'm the one just being a little hyperbolic. But with that said, I do feel this movie is worth its watch. Its subject matter is very important. It's amazing. I just don't think it's going to be on my best list like Spotlight was. Spotlight was like a freaking sniper round hitting a bullseye perfectly. This feels more like a guy with a machine gun hitting the target 8 out of 10 times. It's still good, but there were a lot more misfires this time. My personal verdict on this one is go see it. It's not a must-see, but it is something that you should try to check out and definitely throw your money at. You won't be disappointed, and you won't hate yourself for going to the theater and dealing with theaters who can't fucking crop movies properly. Okay, enough about that. And that's it for me. Have you seen Dark Waters? Am I being a little harsh or not harsh enough? Leave your comments down in the comments down below, and let's get some healthy discussion going. Because if this movie had anything to say, it was that we need to be talking about this. So let's talk about this. Also, while you're down there, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, share this with your friends, and who knows, maybe my channel will actually grow this next year and get to the point where I can actually make money doing this and it pays for itself, which is more than enough for me to be happy in my life. Also, I've been streaming pretty consistently on Thursdays at 11 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. If you would like to come and join, be sure to check those out. We've been playing Pokemon mostly, but I'm figuring that once I'm done with Platinum, I'm going to change up the game probably to something Final Fantasy related. So be sure to check those out. And yeah, that's it for me, so I guess I'll see you all next time.